about abandonment and trust wounds, okay? Because sometimes when I'm talking to clients, they're like, oh, well, I didn't experience, trauma in childhood. And I'm like, trauma is relative to you, especially if you are a small child, like 4, 6, 8, 12 years old. They interpret things differently than you do as an adult when you're looking back at your life. Abandonment is not just your parents and guardians not being there, okay? It can radiate out into a lot of different areas. This can be you not having your emotional needs met, your mental needs met, or your physical needs met, right? Food, water. It can be a parent that is too domineering or holding too high of expectations, not enough expectations, talking down to you, being very loud and aggressive. Like, there's so many different ways that children experience that. It's you not having the love, support, and guidance that you needed in childhood. I'm going to give you an example of interpretation, okay? So let's say that you have a 5 or 6 year old child and they're coming to their mom and they're like, hey, look at my art project, look what I did. And the mom's like, oh, that's a waste of time. You shouldn't worry about that. Like, you need to be focused on these other things, or you'll never make money at that, or it doesn't matter. That child is interpreting their gifts as their self-worth, and that is useless, or that they're useless. So maybe that child was going to grow up to be an amazing artist, or maybe they do become an artist, but they really struggle with confidence because in their background of their mind, their subconscious, they can hear their mother's words like ruminating. That is trauma that is relative to that child. It's also abandonment because they did not get the love and support that they needed. You're trying to figure out if you have incurred some type of abandonment or trust wounds, right? What I want you to do is think of a child outside of you, okay? The same age as you were when you were a kid. And I want you to think how that child would interpret it. Because oftentimes we try and rationalize and analytic ourselves and say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But when you bring a different child into it, or maybe your own child, if you have a kid out here, okay, and you say, how do I think they are receiving that experience, or my parents or guardians talking to me in that certain type of way, or that limiting beliefs or trauma that they're projecting onto that child, how do I think that is going to affect them in life? Because the answer that you get for self and for that child outside of you might be very different. Remember, trauma is relative to you, and it can look a lot at different forms. And when we validate our inner children for the things that they experience and say, hey, that really was a big deal, right? And I'm here to help you heal through that. It helps release those energetic cords and heal those wounds.